Good evening, everyone. This is the July Finance and Shared Services Committee meeting. We've just had a phenomenal, monumental meeting that I am following suit on. So this is going to be a very underrated meeting. Our committee, the LACE Committee, Legislative Advocacy and Community Engagement Committee, just met with three of our representatives. And if you were not logged in and you have not watched this meeting, I would suggest that you go back and see the recording. We had Senator Greenstein, Assemblywoman Tennille McCoy, and Assemblyman D'Angelo here with us in Monroe discussing our challenges. And whatever the discussions were tonight directly affect the Finance Committee meeting. So I'm hoping that there will be positive outcomes of this initial discussion. If you have not had a chance to, please watch the videotape committee meeting. We're going to jump into the finance agenda. We are already late in starting this meeting, and I hope the committee chair for BG&T will allow me to finish the agenda before we start BG&T. Thank you, Mr. Pira.
We're all being very accommodating today.
For valid reasons. The first item on the agenda is the monthly review of the attorney invoices. I hope all of my committee members have reviewed this, and I'm going to open the forum up for any questions on the attorney invoices that you may have. Okay. Any questions on this month's? All right, I'm going to take that as thumbs up to move on to the monthly bill list. I hope all my committee members have had a chance to review the monthly bill list. Of course, there's going to be an addendum this Friday before the board meeting to the bill list for any bills that will be paid in the meantime or will be added to the bill list to be paid post the July 31st meeting. So any questions on the bill list for Ms. Allen? All right, Ms. Allen, the next item on the agenda is the annual contract. So I will hand it over to you to take it one by one and let us know if any of this is a new contract as you go through them. Thank you.
Okay, yes. First one, Heartland, it's for cafeteria software. This is for $95.74. It's 6.5% over the prior year because of software enhancements.
0.5%.
6.5%.
Okay.
The next one is SD Game Day Athletic Training Services, and it's based on a fee schedule. This is just as needed. It's basically, it's licensed athletic trainers that are certified by the state. Last year, we didn't use them at all, but we have them available in case.
Okay.
Okay. Pure Insurance Arena or Global Spectrum is for the graduation for next June. That is at $16,000, which is a $1,000 increase over the prior year.
And I want to remind anybody tuned in tonight that we did plan on going to Rutgers for the 2025 graduating class. Unfortunately, it was significantly more expensive than $16,000. It was
More than double.
40,000.
It was more than double.
It was 40,000, yeah.
$42,000.
$42,000.
Yeah.
And sadly, Monroe at this point in time cannot afford that amount of money. So we are back at Pure Insurance Arena. We had a beautiful graduation ceremony.
Oh,
this
yes.
year,
It was lovely.
as we've had in the previous years. And even though it's not the Rutgers Arena, we're okay because we're not spending as much as we would have had.
It's the children in the arena, not.
That
the-
matters. Thank you, Dr. Shanley.
You're welcome.
Please go ahead, Ms. Allen.
Next is independent evaluations. It's a fee schedule for related services for students. No change from the prior year.
Also as needed.
Yes, as needed. Next is ESCNJ. Again, it's for services for home instruction and evaluations. There are some increases in their fee schedules over the prior year.
And this again is us simply approving a contractor, but we pay on a need
As
basis.
needed, all of these are pretty much as needed. Yes. Summit Speech School, observations and consultations, no change in the fee, it's $225 per consultation. And that's as needed. Oxford, for related services again, no change in the fee schedule from the prior year. Aviana Healthcare Services as needed. There are some increases, in their fee schedule. Okay, and then the All-Star Athletic Center is for cheer practice. The cost is $9,450. That is a $10 an hour increase over the prior year. This year it's $135 an hour. Last year it was $125 an hour.
Do we have any other facilities that are competitive in pricing that we could use?
I know that since, Mr. Barandini has taken over, we have exhausted looking into all places, trying to utilize our own facilities, which definitely does not work. Unfortunately, we just have, in a positive way, too many things going on. So we have nowhere else to put them. So it is what it is. And I think he actually, was able to get something. I think the price of last year was cheaper than what we had paid in prior years. But they went up $10 an hour.
So, just a question, and I may be completely off the, mark here. The hours of our practice, are we able to use the rec center where they have their own cheer programs for Pop Warner and they do a lot? Are we able to use the rec center ever, reduce the hours with All-Star?
This place, Gazella, has like all different things, like it has mats, it has different things
Right,
for
the
the
rec center
combo.
has mats too.
But I mean, it's
facility
set
is-
up for, I think this is competition cheer, not regular cheer.
Okay,
Yes.
This place is set up for, dance and competition cheer, and it's like one of them specialty places where they have like the props and stuff, so kids don't get hurt, things like that.
I just had to
That's,
ask, but-
Yeah, the venue, he's absolutely right. The venue is accommodating the
Yeah.
children at the
For-
level,
At the level,
at the
right,
level.
yeah.
where
Correct.
is All-Star located?
It's in East
Brunswick.
Brunswick.
We bus our,
An
cheer
hour
teams.
before.
Sometimes we bus our cheer teams, sometimes there's parents driving. It really depends upon the circumstance.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Howard.
And finally, we have, Samuel Klein and Company, the auditor. And this is a change over the prior year as requested.
From the last.
From the
Right, and we were all in agreement. I believe it was Mr. Piero that even brought up the audit that we had concerns. So
So,
this is a prior auditor.
and the cost is $54,400, which is, lower than we paid last year.
Oh, nice.
And lower hourly rates than if they
If we
had
go over.
additional work.
So we are going back to the auditor before, the one that we had last year before that, and we will be able to start immediately as soon as this is.
He already
approved on
started, right?
31st?
If he will be able to start.
On 31st, so we're not late, we'll be able, he'll be able to make time with the audit.
He has assured us that he will get this.
This is great, thank you for making it happen, and I'm glad that we're able to save money while also meeting the requirement of the board members. I do want to go back to the pupil personnel service contract.
Yes.
The way that we received this as board members was through, it was like an email ask from the pupil personnel director, Ms.
Yeah.
Luella, not really contracts. So I just want to know that, is that standard practice, or do you get contracts?
Normally we do, for these, this is,
What they gave us.
what they gave us. And this is how it's been done.
Is it legally okay? I
Yes.
would be concerned with how I'm looking at a contract for, say, a Vienna or Oxford or Summit Speech. I would assume each one of these people in that email chain should have something similar as a board
I could
record.
request, that they give us something.
I would
details.
That would be my
Yeah.
ask. That would be.
But I do believe it would be legal, because what happens is they're showing us their hourly rates, they're documenting it, we're accepting it as a board, and then when they provide that we have to pay them, they provide an invoice. So it's not like you're just paying off with a letter. Don't disagree with you, but I'm saying if we were to be audited, the end result is we have an invoice, we pay the invoice. So the auditor cares about our invoice.
So, to your
that
point,
makes sense.
we can ask, and if they have something,
That'd be
that's
great.
great.
I have no problem
If
with
not,
it.
then we make sure that we document this
Yes.
as our legal
When we
contract.
pay an invoice, we check to see that it is what was a board
Board
approved. And
approved.
that's what the auditor's gonna check for. That make, that this was a board approved rate. That's really what they're concerned.
That's what they care about.
We won't pay for something if they're gonna charge us more than.
These are all up to, there's no
Yeah, yes,
set
Yeah,
rate,
the
up
various-
to with that.
And they're all as needed, which is great, because it allows us to have the services we need for our children. If we don't need them, fabulous.
Yes, and hopefully we don't need them, but when we need them, we're ready. Is that all the animal contracts?
That is it for the contracts. And then the next item is the lease purchase update. So yesterday, as you recall, we had a lease purchase in the amount of $2.2 million, it's a little bit over that, that will be going, for board approval next week. So we had the bid opening, this week, and we were actually lucky to have, 4 bidders, which is more than we
You
have
ever get?
ever had.
Great.
So it's good to have that competition. And we did receive, a low bid of 4.16%. The bids ranged, the interest rates range from 4.16 to 4.62. So, the bond attorney has reviewed the bid and is preparing the resolution for the board to approve.
This is for the lease purchase?
Yep,
This is for the.
For the items that were.
yes, but it's
That we're-
slightly 2.2 million over.
Yes.
So are we naturally just gonna go with 4.16
Oh,
or,
yes,
Yes,
we're lucky we got for one.
yes.
and why is it that we have more like bidders this year? Is there-
The bond attorney did, reach out to more, like she'll try to reach out to people to bid on this. So I think she did, make more calls this time. But typically we really get 1, maybe 2. So,
We had 4.
yeah.
So 4.16.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
fantastic.
now we're actually using a different bank than we've been using in the past. And she has worked with this bank in other areas, so she knows that, they're good to work with.
We have a very good bond
Yeah,
attorney.
excellent bond attorney.
Is
Excellent.
this somebody we've been with?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
Betty, she's excellent. She's the one that assisted us when we did the shared service agreement
Yes.
with the township. She's very knowledgeable.
So the range is 4.16 to 4.62%.
Yes.
And on this, and we're going with 4.16. Would
So-
you be able to shed some light on how competitive is this with what you're seeing out there in the market? The 4.16? Is this, as per your expectations, how are we?
Actually, and we actually expected it to be more high, like 5%. So this is,
I'm glad I asked that question.
yes. So,
Take every little victory we can get.
yes, so, yeah, and this is Webster Bank out of New York.
Oh, there you go,
Is
there you
the bank that we are recommending that the board approve.
Would you just share for everybody's knowledge, how long is this?
This is a 5-year.
5
lease.
years.
Mhm.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions, anybody on this?
I've heard that Webster Bank is one of the finest.
Oh,
Yeah, I've dealt with them before in my previous,
oh, that's great.
Thank you for sharing
the
that.
service is good, everything is good.
Good,
That's good.
It's good.
thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Next one.
Okay.
The bid award
Yes.
for transportation.
So the bid award for transportation. So in this case, we did get one bid from Don, let's see what's it. Don Transit, which is actually the same company that we used in the prior year, different name. No increase in the hourly rate per bus. There is an increase in aids if we use them, but we don't use their aids, so that doesn't really apply to
I'm
us.
sorry, can you repeat that? Increase in what?
In the hourly rate.
For the
per-
paraprofessional aides for
They
transportation, we don't
provide,
use them.
but we don't use them. So, this is for field trips and athletic trips. And this has also been, reviewed by the board attorney, and there's no issue with that. So we would ask for approval for this as well next week.
So the bid was only for the field and athletic trip?
Field and athletic
Yes.
trips. Mhm.
This is not for any routes that we are short on. We've not put out a bid for that?
Well, we go through
We go through the
the ESC&J.
Okay,
For
so
those
that,
routes.
that's
Yeah.
standard service.
It's only when we go through the ESC&J for our standard routes, but then when we can use them, when we need additional for the after school. But we keep on hiring, we're hoping. I think I signed 3.
So my question on this, before I put it out to the other board members, is that if this is covering the field trips and the athletic trips, is there like a threshold that only X amount of athletic trips can happen? Because we do every now and then face a shortage because our own drivers are not available to drive for the games.
Right.
But if we are contracting through an external,
We will use them as needed. So, and we can use them, since it was a bid, we can use them as much as needed. There's no cap.
so what limits us is the amount of budget we put in for it, the money we'll put in for it, what limits us? So whatever challenges we've had with sports in the previous years, where if the game's starting at 4 o'clock, we would not be able to
Well,
have.
we didn't have, so last year we had
It's the
It's the
same.
same, okay. So, and we did have some concerns brought to our attention, and we need to bring it to their attention to make sure we're moving forward with buses. So the way it works is in previous years, and I can only speak 3 years ago, we didn't have the bid,
Right, that's correct.
okay? We did not have the bid. By not having the bid, we just went out on our own and looked at Raphael Irwin, first student, I don't know if they're in business anymore, but I'm so old now. A first student, whatever they were. And if they weren't available to us, we'd have to say no to the parents because we didn't have enough. We actually, this is the second year that we've now had a company that bid. So it's like, it's it's like an as needed, just like we just voted yes to for physical therapy, for at-home instruction, for speech. So it's the same concept. So now it's like we have a secondary transportation in advance. And we're hopeful that they can accommodate us. It is, once Mr. Barry gives us a schedule, and then we look at what we need versus what we have, then we're able to go to them.
So can we expect, because we have gone out of bid and we have somebody that might be approved next Wednesday, that there'll be fewer challenges with busing for sports team?
We would have- that would be our expectation, yes.
Yeah.
And as far as field trips, a lot of the majority, I won't say all, of our field trips are paid for by the parents. So even though they're utilizing the company that we utilize, we collect the money. So it's money in and money out. And what we've changed this year, and I think we should say it publicly, is there was a lot of back and forth of whether or not we could use Coach. And I don't go on Facebook, but from what I heard, there was some commentary about Facebook, why can't we have Coach Bus? So we figured out that we have a threshold, a bid threshold. We have to follow the law. If we are going over the bid threshold, we cannot go to Coach Buses if we have a company that's cheaper. People say, but you never did that before. We never had a company before. Okay, so what that would mean is what we started to do, and I discussed it with Ms. McDonald and Ms. Allen and Dr. Lehman, and we're all in agreement. If a group, the parents are paying for the 5th grade field trip at the school and they want Coach Buses, no problem. When you fill out your transportation form, you're going to write on there that you'll be securing your own transportation. Why? Because, and we have no problem helping them. It's not that we don't want to help them, we will help them, but the money cannot be money into us and then money out. So what would happen is the part of the money, let's say that the parent has to write 2 checks. One check would be for the bus because they want Coach Buses. The other check would be for the museum. The museum money gets filtered through the school, which should be through the student activities. The transportation money, if they want coaches, would then go directly, because they're their own 401c3, would go directly to the PTA, PTO, whatever the organization is, and then they would write a check. Now, would we help them secure the bus? Peter Pan went, of course. We want to help, but we want to make sure that we follow the law, because there was a lot of, I'll say a lot, but there's a handful of unhappy people, which I get, the bus wasn't air conditioned or the bus was dirty. There was certain issues and they really, it's 2.5 hours. We want a Coach Bus. Fabulous. But we can't do it because we have to follow the rules that are in place for the school district.
They're expensive.
Very
They're
expensive. Very expensive.
It's gonna be at a school level, so if they decide at school level, they want this, and the parents are in agreement, they're gonna be paying more money
Yes.
for this, and it won't affect our budget.
Won't affect our budget at all. So, and it's also, the other concern was, we can't just take the money in and then pay the Coach Buses because then we're going over our threshold. We have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
But right, but I did speak with Ms. McDonald, and we said, we can easily say, here's a list of Coach Buses. Peter Pan, Coach USA, Coach Ray's, I remember because I used to do this as the VP, whatever it might be. And of course, we'll always accommodate people, but we need to know that we are about saving money. And we have a company that we're gonna utilize. And if the parents say absolutely not, and all 150 parents say we are willing to pay more money for coaches buses, then that is how they're gonna pay for the Coach Buses. So I'm hopeful that the Finance Committee is appreciative of the decision I made, because it was getting a little, and we actually reimbursed parents when we found out we couldn't use the Coach Buses. Checks were submitted back. So, because we are following
A lot of
extra work.
administrative work.
Oh,
that
yes.
We need not be doing.
I thank all the secretaries at the elementary school. Thank you.
It's a good discussion to have, and I hope this recording can be used in future whenever we have these kind of back and forth, with the
The
parents.
key is,
It's a policy.
and the key is in advance. Communication is key.
Absolutely.
So all of
Current
we've
information.
already had the meetings. I have a leadership meeting once a month. We already had them last year. We're gonna have them again. Ladies and gentlemen, as a general reminder, if you want Coach Buses, we are not supplying Coach Buses. We are not bidding Coach Buses. Kindly be advised that your parent organization is their own 401c3. Let them write the check to the Coach Buses. Here's a list of Coach Buses.
And as an idea, Ms. Dr. Shanley, for back to school nights, maybe
Oh,
the
I-
principals
yeah.
can be communicative of this aspect, because besides new parents that are coming into kindergarten or, sixth grade, most of the parents are familiar with the field trip structures and probably have gone through this. So hearing from the principal,
Yeah.
right in the
So
beginning. of the year,
I'll come up with,
everybody.
I'll come up with the, uniform outline to give to everybody. And the other thing is, when we have trips going 3-4 hours away, Ms. McDonald will agree it needs a coach bus. Then we will secure the coach bus. It's out of state, it's very far, we want to make sure it's the best accommodations for our children. And then then it goes through our process. And we don't have to, and then the bid threshold, we don't have to worry about, because we're not going over it, because we're always using the one within the bid. And I think that was what people I couldn't explain that. I hope I explained it well tonight, I was trying.
And we have processes in place, we have
Yes.
guidelines in place, and it's
It's
all
all
about
about processes.
communications. It's all
Absolutely.
about communications.
Yes,
with them.
absolutely.
So thank you for spending the time on detailing that further today. We can, if nobody has any questions on bid transportation, we can move on to gov deals and overtime.
That's the fun part, that's where we make money.
So, so yes, we have 6 buses that we would like to post for sale on Gov Deals website for 8 days, starting August 5th, pending board approval. We've had good luck selling our buses through Gov Deals and, made some money.
So we're selling 6. How many did we buy this year, Ms. Allen?
We only ended up with
Like
2
2.
in our lease purchase. We actually thought we would need more, but Ms. McDonald did come back and say, no, she only needs 2 this year. So
That helped us
it's
tremendously.
probably at least we.
So we are
better-
giving up 6.
Yeah.
We only need 2.
Yes.
It's just raising a flag in my head, given that we do have shortages of, I know drivers, not buses, but do we have buses sitting in the parking lot? And that's the reason.
It goes by the age out. It goes by the age, that's dictated to us by the state.
The number of
The-
retiring is dictated
It's
by
dictated by the
the
state.
state. We can't use it
No.
safely for our
If
children.
they say it's done, it's done.
But, so that means we must have had 4 excess buses.
Well, I'm going to assume that our purchasing in the past was much higher than 2 buses, correct?
It was.
And I think that's what it is.
Stuff.
So sometimes you purchase, so let's say,
Like the year before, it might have been 6.
Six.
It's normally more.
Okay.
it's almost like you finally get, you're waiting for that even out period, and we finally made the even out period, because it has to do also with the years of the buses.
Okay. All right. I had to ask.
And you should, it's an excellent question.
Thank you.
Transportation is a very sensitive subject.
Yes.
Given that we are facing the challenges we are facing, people need to understand it's more related to drivers than actual buses. And we want to be as transparent as we can. And we want to give every problem the right attention.
And I think we can sell 6 and only
Me too.
to buy 2, so we get some money. back.
It helps us buy the 2 because when you sell 6, you don't get as much as
No.
you have to
But
spend
So
on buying
6 is
6.
less than 2. But
Which is the next meeting's agenda, getting left.
But what's excellent is that Ms. Allen has done an incredible job, and I have to give a shout out to her, kudos regarding
Thank
this lease purchase option. A lease purchase option, yes. I don't want anybody to think we're not paying for it. Of course, we know we're paying for it. But when we have a very tight budget, and we keep on thanking the community for passing the question, when we have a very tight budget, when we're able to get what we must have for our children, but we don't need a lump sum, it's a tremendous, it is savings. Yes, we're paying for it, but at least we're able to do that. For many years, we didn't do that. If you didn't have the money, you didn't buy the things. And the children would miss out on whatever we needed, so.
Thank you, appreciate that. If nobody has any questions on that, we can move to the last item on the agenda, which is the energy audit
Yes.
services bid award.
Yes, so we held a bid opening for the energy audit related to the ESIP on July 17th. We only had 1 bidder, Tri-State Light Energy. The bid amount was for $97,777. So that we would ask for board approval.
And they were very close to what they said.
Yeah.
If you remember, they said they expected it to be under 100 or under,
Yeah.
remember? I remember them saying.
This is the engineering services. What is this bid for? Can you explain again, Sal?
Yeah, it's an energy audit.
By the,
It's
by,
separate
and
companies.
by
It's not
third party?
Honeywell, it's a third party.
Third party.
That comes in and does this.
so they're
intensive-
auditing what Honeywell has done.
Yeah, so, yes, basically.
Independent auditor, you see it,
Yeah.
it's been done by an independent auditor, third
Yeah.
party, so that they,
And this is the one that we could have gone through the state and gotten, but it would have taken.
Which would have
8
taken
months.
longer,
Yeah.
probably
we
cost.
would have been penny wise, dollar
So that's
foolish,
why,
because
yeah.
the monies that we'll be able to save will help.
We
us.
voted to.
Yeah, we
go
voted
with
to
it.
go with it, yes. Oh, I think that was when I wasn't here.
So we already have a bidder for 97,000.
Correct.
And if the board approves it on Wednesday, this audit would
They
start
start
They
immediately.
can start, yeah.
And that would help us keep this ESIP
Did
program.
they give you a time frame for the audit?
For this?
Yeah, for them to be done.
Well, 90 days.
Oh,
We're hoping it's gonna be,
Could be less.
6 weeks. That's what we were put in our proposal, but, so hopefully they will work with us and do it in 6 weeks.
That's good.
Ms. Allen, would it be possible to share it as an executive attachment or just email it to us, the bid from this company, the Tri-State? I just need to be,
Absolutely.
I don't believe this was part of our.
Do you want it to the full board or just to yours?
Yeah.
I don't think it was part of, no, to the full board. I would say any attachment shared with the committee should be shared with the full board.
It might,
wasn't
it might, no, but it might,
it
it might
should
be.
be.
on
It should be.
It might be on the board agenda as, yeah.
But if not, I will make sure to.
Okay,
Yeah.
If it's gonna be part of the full board.
Well, I was
agenda,
gonna share something yesterday regarding the curriculum that they had a question about,
He did it already. I'm sorry, what?
from Miss, Ruella. Did you want me to forward it to the whole board or just to, the board member that
And
requested?
I believe everything should.
So the
be
board
part
member
of the
requested,
whole-
I'll send it to him and then I'll, to let everybody else.
I personally feel any information shared with one member should be shared with all 10 members.
Unless
We
it's
all
something
have-
that we can only share with president.
Unless it's something that just the board president needs to see
Yes.
and then decide, but mostly anything shared with a committee chair should actually be
Sure.
shared with everybody.
problem.
So the executive attachment is a place for all board members to see the same information. So while we might have the privilege of discussing it in a setting like this, all other board members that are.
And they should be looking at
Supposed to
the
be
website.
listening to this meeting before the board meeting would have access to the same information. And that's important for all of us to work,
I agree.
with full visibility to everything that's part of the discussion. So that brings us to the end of the agenda. Do you have anything else that anybody else wanted to bring up?
No.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, for today. Thank you. That's all for the finance committee tonight. Thank you, everybody.